The stock market is red, red, red. But guess what? We're green. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? The market could be red and I could be green. Well, if you trade with the right strategy, you could also be green when the market is red. Today, we're taking 2 shorts. It was a little frustrating because it was like really setting up to be some good opportunities, but we just didn't capitalize all the way that we should have. Really, we gotta trust a strategy. You know, again, today we're trading with the 15-minute breakout type strategy that we talked about multiple times now on the channel, and I'll talk more about that through the video. But today I'm going to show you guys some pretty good setups, some pretty good overall trades. I feel like the second trade, obviously, you know, you'll see in the video, it could have been a little bit more aggressive in profit taking, but you know, it is what it is, and here we are. So we're going to get into it. We're trading live today, trading the MES, and we're getting down into the nitty gritty right here in this video. So make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, so we're looking to see if this candle is going to continue continuous lower move. So below 139.25 will be our entry on this 15-minute setup here. I just don't feel like going long at this point because all momentum right now is pointing down. But we'll see. We're right at the VWAP right now, so we're at that key area. This could be the reversal, but I'm just going to say that there's still more wiggle room to the downside. So below 139 will be our entry here. So we got the break below. We're looking for 3 handles down from there. Got a lot of range in these candles, so this might be bad for us. All this range in these candles is not good for the strategy, but we'll look to see if we can't get a move lower from here down to like the 134s or maybe even a new low. We'll let this one kind of really work out today and see if we can't get a nice little move here. So already down there to 136.25. I'd like to see a little bit lower here. At least 134 I think is very doable on this move lower. Down there to the 135, so locking in some profit there. Beautiful. I like the way we're going. I like to see 134s here. Take that another contract at 134.50. See if we can get filled. There we go. Getting filled. Beautiful. And now we still got some wiggle room here. We'll see if we can make a kind of a new low down there to the 130. Not a new low, but get down back here to the 130s would be, I think, very nice for us. But that's still pretty nice little move. Hey, really quickly, if you guys enjoy these videos, do me one big favor. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm really not. Do me one big favor. Hit that like button. Also, let me know down in the comments below. What stocks did you trade? Do you trade futures? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. We're right at that 413 area on the SPY, so I think we can get a wash through there. It'll just kind of crater and maybe test that low again. We moved our stop to basically like break even there, 138. We're in at 139.25. That low breaking below that 15-minute candle. So pretty simple setup, guys. This is why I love trading this setup right now. It's just super simple, really easy. No, it's not rocket science by any means. It really comes down to identifying the trend, identifying, you know, what's going on in the market. The market's red today, so I really wasn't trying to take any longs. You can see the range here on these candles. You got to be careful with that range as well because remember our stop, we got to have a stop. We got to have our risk. And if we have too much range in these 15-minute candles, you know, kind of the ups and downs, then we could get stopped out pretty quickly. So we got to kind of be cautious of that. And right now, I'm getting a little bit of pushback up here. And see if we can't drop lower from here. I'd like to see 130s or lower here. Market just finding some buyers down there right now. So we were hoping for a little bit more of a sell-off there, but just not getting that full dip we were looking for. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. Doesn't mean that it won't kind of push back up here and then push lower, but I didn't want to give back any profits on that. So we did the right thing. We took the trade. We got the setup. We got our handles that we were looking for. We got 3 to 5 handles there, which is game on all the time, you know, especially seeing that this setup, this pattern that we're trading, this 15-minute setup can be so accurate to get that 3 handles. The thing is, not every single candle is going to be a huge winner, right? Not every single candle is going to just be a huge winner. But when these setups do work out and you do get those big winners can really add on to your profits, especially when your target in the beginning of that trade is not that big. You know, when my target's only 3 handles, $3, you know, so when I'm entering here, when I'm entering right there, and my target is, well, yeah, my target's, we're getting this profit here. We're getting a little bit more when it pushes down there, but still, we're locking in that profit, and you can see how consistent that is. Even on a lot of these ranging candles, you know, have these bigger range candles, you get those kind of quick dips when you get those 15-minute breaks to either upside or downside. So you're kind of really looking at something that's very consistent to get that move. And our risk, you know, we're risking basically this idea of riding that momentum, seeing that, hey, this is the momentum, the market is pulling back, it's pushing down there. There's a good chance we're going to get that small, that quote unquote smaller move that's consistent. We're going to get that consistent move to the downside or the upside, and then we can lock in profit, and then we can really look to kind of, okay, are we going to hold this one longer? Are we going to let this one ride? And you can see the market just kind of getting that bounce back, holding that VWAP. I was hoping we were going to get a wash and get that wash down from there, but we still were able to lock in that profit with this strategy. And this strategy can really be scaled very nicely over time as well. You know, it's something that we can trade, you know, 10 contracts on this and feel totally fine to take profit as we ride this wave. So we got about 8 minutes till the next candle opens. So at this point, it's really just kind of like, okay, now we wait, we watch. But the thing is now we got to think about, okay, if this candle gets stuck here and this is like the next push up, we got this resistance coming up. So we got a little bit of range here, but what we don't want to happen is we don't want this candle to get up here and then this candle like to reopen like right at that resistance, because that's kind of pointing out like, hey, there's resistance there in that area. So we got to kind of think about that as well when we're trading this setup, is kind of looking at like where that next resistance or where that support is. On this candle here, you know, we had plenty of room back down to that low of day, being that 127, 125 area. So we had plenty of room there. We had 20 handles really from that break to the downside there. So we had plenty of room to let this one ride. So you can see that 15-minute candle now all the way down there to 125. Our entry was there at 140. We had a high of that candle at 144. So easily just kept selling and got down there right away, but we had a little bit of chop and we got stopped out there. But I mean, 125, I think over time we got to kind of refine and kind of figure out, you know, seeing these different setups, seeing the different patterns. I think in time it's kind of like, okay, you know, we really got to figure out, you know, what should be our risk tolerance on these setups. You know, should I have moved my stop? You know, where should my stop have really been there? It's the $1 million question. It's also, the thing is, you know, in hindsight, this could have easily went higher from there and it could have ended up being a loss. So it's just how it is sometimes, especially when the market's kind of choppy like this. But it's like when you do get that really good setup, like this one here, you can see it broke below 441. It broke below that 141 and dipped all the way down there to 130 and never really got anywhere near our stop if we would have entered on that candle. So it's just how it is sometimes. You get those clear breaks and then you just sometimes you get stuck and you get kind of a choppiness. All right, so we're watching for this candle to close here. 15-minute candle pushing below that low already at 123. So let's see if this is going to continue lower from there, breaking that 412 support like nothing. See if we can bounce here or what's going to go on here on this 15-minute candle. So basically, if we if we get a break below that low, then we're going to enter at that point because, well, that's the setup. So let's see what happens here. Getting the break below. I'm going to take profit pretty quick on this one just because I do not like the range in terms of all that to the downside. I could be wrong. I just don't like, I don't know. I just feel like if you look at the hourly chart as well, let's look at the hourly chart. I'll show you kind of what I'm looking at. This is maybe look at the 4-hour chart. You can see a little bit better. A lot of support in this area, consolidation, kind of price action in this area. So I'm not like super in love with this break, although it is going lower. Just be worried about a big reversal at some point coming in there. Like right now, this could just kind of reverse right back up there. The range on these candles is pretty big right now, so we got to protect ourselves and be smart. And you can see how the low down there at the 117.50 setup works pretty good. We got that break below 121. We had a low of 117. That's a 4-handle move. That's our target either way. But still, just kind of knowing that we're at that support area. We're kind of at that low of the day. I'd rather be taking shorts like up here, in this area, knowing that we have that low down there, knowing that the range could be like that, instead of taking a short down at the bottom of the day. We're down a 1.5% right now. And I mean, the market is still moving lower here. So I guess, we could have held on a little longer there. All right, so now the issue with this 15-minute candle that just opened is we are now in the middle of kind of this other candle. So we don't really have a break to the upside. We don't really have a break to the downside. We're kind of like fighting there, consolidating in the middle. And that's just not going to allow us to enter the trade, because if we enter here at 123, our stop is going to be way too big. If we enter here at 108, our stop is going to be too big. So we just got to kind of wait for that next kind of breakout setup. Even though this could break to the downside, we are starting to see that there's some indecision in that action, where you can see earlier when these candles closed, we closed at the bottom there. We opened pretty much right where we closed at, had a little bit of range there. This candle dipped. Same thing here. This candle opened a little range, and then that break to the downside, where as of now, we've just got too much of this up and down here. Even though, like I said, it could go lower from here, our stop would just have to be too big for this setup to work for us, for the 15-minute setup. And that's what it comes down to. You got to have, the right setups. And the way that I look at it as well is, if the candle is opening and closing kind of in the middle of price action, that means that there's a chance of a reversal. There's a chance that this could, go up, down. And it's obviously going down right now. But in general, if I entered there at 408, my stop would just have to be too big. That's 14 being the high there? Yeah, the stop is just too big. There it is. I mean, it's going lower. So you're not always going to be able to take a trade. You're not always going to be able to have a setup. There's going to be days where you're just not going to have setups, I guess, right, is the way to put it. So it's not always, and look at that. See that bounce back? That's what we were worried about. If we were to enter there at 108, we would have gotten 3 handles, which was okay, but you can see how quickly that bounced back, and that's what I'm talking about with this kind of indecision, this choppy, I wouldn't say choppy, but just kind of that bounce back coming here at this point. So that's, the way to look at it is, obviously we got to, if we're going to have a strategy, if we're going to use a strategy for trading, well, then we better actually use that strategy, Patrick. Don't be stupid and be like, well, I think it's going to go lower. Oh, I think this is, nope. It's a strategy for a reason, my friends. And look at that bounce back. This would have been, a total blow up in our face. If we would have jumped in there at 109 and stopped at 114, that would have been a 5-handle loss. And, well, that's just not conducive to this strategy. So, on that note, it is almost 5 a.m. here in Hawaii. I've got to be somewhere this morning. I might be able to do a couple more candles. We'll give it a little bit of time. We'll give it just maybe one more candle, because I'm thinking that there's a possibility this wants to push back up here at some point. We're going to have this 15-minute candle close here. If it can push up like 125 right now, it could really set up to be a nice little trade if this wants to go. But I don't know if it's going to get there. It's going to be really tight. Yeah, it's not going to get there again. Not getting that clear breakout. Maybe, I don't know. We got this high here. I just don't want to enter. Right, I wouldn't want to enter at 124, just seeing that we've had like all this resistance on those last 3 candles. So, again, we're going to not enter. This has been, 1, 2, 3 candles now that we haven't entered on, because this setup just hasn't worked out. So it is what it is. We'll take it. It's it's 5:15 here in the morning. So by the time this 15-minute candle closes, it's going to be 5:30, obviously. And I'm going to try to be done today by 5:30 either way. I got to edit the video and all that. So we tried. We were ready. We could have capitalized. This would have been a really nice overall setup. And then, again, this one, in hindsight, we're still green. The market's red. We're green. It is what it is. We're going to live to fight another day. and just gotta wait for that perfect setup. Like, it's gonna come. Like, the longer that we do this strategy, the longer we stick to it, longer that we follow the rules, we follow the strategy, the setup will come. It's gonna get to that point, but we gotta obviously just kind of hold out, and we'll get there. We'll get there at some point, I guess. We're there. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. We just gotta keep it on with the keep it on.